The latest Shohei trade predictions featured the Boston Red Sox, and boy is this trade something. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and Shohei trade fever has officially taken over Major League Baseball, with the Angels fumbling once again with their playoff hopes. The Angels have officially made it public that they are listening to offers on the greatest player in Major League Baseball and possibly the greatest player of all time, which makes a ton of sense, right? The Angels probably aren't going to make the playoffs this year. They only have a couple months left with Shohei. It makes sense to try and get something in return, and what this has led to is a ton of different trade proposals and trade predictions, right? Every major league team has basically been talked about as being a destination for the great Shohei Ohtani, and the latest one by Fox Sports featured the Boston Red Sox in a trade that seems absolutely insane. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down the latest Red Sox Shohei trade proposal. We're going to talk about why I think it's ridiculous. We're also going to go over what I think a legitimate trade for Shohei Ohtani would look like if the Red Sox were interested. We're also going to talk about what the chances of the Red Sox trading for Shohei looks like, or just getting Shohei in general looks like. But before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is the proposed trade we're talking about today. It's by Fox Sports Baseball, and it has the Red Sox giving up our prospects Brayan Bello, Marcelo Mayer, Ceddanne Rafaela, and Nick Yorke for one Shohei Ohtani. Now, you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, Corbin, why doesn't this trade make sense? Shohei Ohtani is one of the greatest players of all time already, and he has the opportunity to legitimately be the best baseball player this sport has ever seen, right? It makes sense that the Red Sox have to give up a ton to get Shohei, and I'm not saying that's not true, but when you break down this trade, even with the greatest player of all time, this seems like a bit of an overpay, because what the Red Sox are giving up when you really break this down is you're giving up the future of this pitching staff in Brayan Bello, you're giving up the number 3 prospect in all of baseball in Marcelo Mayer, a guy that the Red Sox seem to be building around, or at least building around one of these new middle infielders being somebody at the major leagues over the last couple of years, and on top of that, you're giving up 2 top 100 prospects in Nick Yorke and Ceddanne Rafaela for not just Shohei Ohtani, but only 2 months of Shohei Ohtani. The cost to time ratio in this trade makes 0 sense for the Red Sox, who right now in the spot they are in are building a team that consists of core young players, right? Have been building this sort of core within their minor league system. They're trying to connect a legit elite pipeline to their major league level, and the next great Red Sox team is going to feature a core of some really great homegrown players. To give that all away for 2 months of any player at all, even the great Shohei Ohtani, to me doesn't make a ton of sense. Now, if you had proposed this trade 3 years ago and the Red Sox were in a different spot and Shohei Ohtani would be guaranteed to be with this team for more than 2 months, then it's a little bit of a different conversation, right? But that's not what's happening here. Instead, you are getting just 2 months of even the greatest player in the world for legitimately your entire minor league system, right? Those are essentially your top 4 prospects on this Red Sox team, right? Brayan Bello isn't a prospect anymore, but he's still a young player who I think the Red Sox have a lot of faith in. And then the combination of Marcelo, Nick Yorke, and Ceddanne Rafaela are essentially your top 3 prospects in the organization. For 2 months of anyone, that seems like way too much, even if it's for the great Shohei Ohtani. So to me, this seems like an insane overpay for a guy who, again, is no guarantee that you are going to have for more than 2 months in a Red Sox uniform. So the question, though, is if this is an overpay, what does a legitimate trade for Shohei Ohtani look like for the Red Sox? Is it possible? And what are the odds that it does happen? To answer the first part of that question, we are headed back over to Baseball Trade Value Simulator. And I say this every time we use this algorithm. It's not a perfect science, right? It's not going to be exactly what a team needs or a team wants for a certain player, but it's a good basis. It's a good starting point as to what a possible trade would look like. And according to Baseball Trade Values, Shohei Ohtani is worth about $44.2 million in trade value. Now, what this formula does is it includes a service time time left, how much time this player would have on this team. It calculates obviously what they do on the field, and it calculates what their contract is worth. So all of that combined, according to Baseball Trade Values, is worth about $44.2 million. Now for the Red Sox, this hypothetically would mean a trade package that would look something like still including Nick York and Ceddanne Rafaela, but instead of Marcelo Meyer, you give up a guy like Mikey Romero, and instead of Brian Bayo, you give up a guy like Shane Drohan. Because at the end of the day, right, you're still going to have to give up some really good prospects to get a guy like Shohei Ohtani, but instead of giving up a guy like Marcelo Meyer and Brian Bayo, who the Red Sox, it feels like, are really planning on being a huge part of the future of this team, you give up two prospects who are more of a lottery type pick, right? Shane Drohan's been doing really well and could be a really fantastic pitcher, but he has struggled at the AAA level. Mikey Romero has a ton of potential and is a guy that scouts really like, but he was injured the first half of the year and he hasn't really played a full season yet in a Red Sox uniform. So those are two guys that you could include in this trade, again, for the rental possibility of Shohei Ohtani. To me, the most interesting part about the Red Sox trading for Shohei Ohtani is that trading for him would fill a lot of holes on this team that the Red Sox really need to fill if they're going to be buyers at the deadline, right? One thing the Red Sox really kind of desperately need right now is consistency in their starting rotation. Shohei Ohtani brings that and some, right? This year, Shohei has a 3.50 ERA with a 1.26 ERA plus and a 3.97 FIP with a 1.12 WHIP in 18 total games pitched. He would easily slot in statistically as the number 3 starter on this Red Sox team. On top of that too, he's given you almost 20 starts so far this year. He had one sort of injury concern throughout the entire year. He hasn't really had injury concerns throughout his career. This is a guy who could be kind of your workhorse in the rotation and be a guy who has the potential to be your number 1 pitcher in this rotation. So pitching wise, this makes a ton of sense for the Boston Red Sox to go out and try and get a guy like Shohei Ohtani, right? On top of that too, the Red Sox offense this year has been wildly inconsistent. To bring a bat like Shohei Ohtani to this lineup would bring a ton of consistency, because right now Shohei Ohtani is having a historical offensive season, right? Right now he's hitting .306 with a 397 on base percentage. He's leading the league in slugging. He's leading the league in OPS at 1.075. He's leading the league in OPS plus at 187. He also is leading the league in home runs, which is right on pace with what Aaron Judge did last year. So there's a chance that this year Shohei Ohtani is breaking the MLB AL home run record, and he's leading the league in triples. Again, adding a bat like that to the Red Sox lineup that has been consistently the best bat in Major League Baseball almost the entire year would do wonders for this Red Sox team, and it would bring consistency to the Boston Red Sox, regardless of the fact that he's a left-handed hitter, and it would extremely throw off the left-right balance in this current Red Sox lineup, because to be honest with you, I don't really care about the left-right balance if it's going to be a guy like Shohei Ohtani. But obviously the biggest question here is there even a chance the Red Sox do this? And I like to say never, right? I don't think it's impossible, but I think the odds of the Red Sox legitimately trying to trade for Shohei Ohtani are about 0.01%. And the reason I say this is for a couple of things, right? The Red Sox are sort of in a bit of a rebuild of sorts, if we're going to be totally honest here, right? They're trying to get this pipeline connected to the Major League level. They're trying to get these prospects built up and ready to produce at the Major League level. Giving a lot of that up right now with the state of this Red Sox team doesn't seem extremely likely. The second reason is because they've made it pretty clear the Red Sox want to stay under the luxury tax. To get Shohei Ohtani, you're paying about $15 million for the rest of the season, which would put them about $10 million above the luxury tax. You would need to be able to find homes for probably Justin Turner, where someone takes over all of that contract, Adam Duvall, where someone takes over all of that contract, and James Paxton, where someone takes over all of that contract as well, just to make room monetarily for Shohei Ohtani on this team. And to be honest with you, I don't know if there's a lot of teams in Major League Baseball that are going to be able to do this trade, right? Because again, you're going to need to give up a massive prospect haul to get Shohei on your club, and to do that, you're basically risking the future of your franchise, right, in these top prospects for 2 months of Shohei with no guarantee that Shohei comes back. So to me, I think it's going to be really, really hard for the Angels to legitimately find a trade partner that they are happy with and that the partner is happy with as well. So I honestly don't really see Shohei getting traded, period. So for me, if I'm Boston Red Sox, and honestly, if I'm every other team in Major League Baseball, I'm waiting until he hits free agency. Once he's unrestricted, all you have to give him is money. You don't have to give him prospects. You don't have to give up anything like that. All you have to give up is money. And I think to a lot of MLB franchises, I would say 29 out of 30 probably, this makes a lot more sense. And obviously, there's going to be a huge bidding war for Shohei Ohtani. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think we do see over this offseason the Red Sox expressing interest in Shohei Ohtani. Not because I think the Red Sox are going to make a legitimate push to get Shohei Ohtani, but I think every single team in Major League Baseball should be expressing interest in the great Shohei Ohtani, right? He is, like we talked about, most likely going to be one of, if not the greatest baseball player of all time. Why wouldn't every Major League Baseball team at least put their hat in the ring, right? I don't know if it's going to be possible. I don't know if it's going to be likely that the Red Sox get Shohei, but I do think that the Red Sox will, at the bare minimum, express interest, maybe offer him some sort of deal to throw their hat in the ring and say, hey, look, if you want to come here for 8 years, we'll give you $40 million a year, we'll give you $50 million a year, whatever it is. And if you don't want it, you don't want it, fine. But I do think the Red Sox will express interest in Shohei Ohtani. It's not a matter of is it possible, because it's one, possible for the Red Sox to trade for Shohei, and it's two, possible for the Red Sox to sign Shohei. It's a matter of whether it's likely or not. And with the Red Sox, the situation that they're in right now, in terms of trades, it's very, very, very unlikely. And in terms of signing Shohei in the offseason, it's just very unlikely, right? Again, I still think they show interest, but I don't think they end up getting a deal done. Overall, in terms of the video itself, the Fox Sports trade to me seems like a wild overpay, even for Shohei Ohtani. It seems like you're giving up way too much for 2 months and no guarantee. The trade that we came up with here seems a bit more realistic, but I still think it's unlikely that the Red Sox propose this type of trade. And overall, the bidding war for Shohei Ohtani, both trade-wise and monetarily after the season is over, is going to be one of the more interesting things to happen in Major League Baseball in a very long time. But all of this is just my opinion, so let me know in the comment section down below. One, what did you think of the Fox Sports baseball trade proposal for Shohei Ohtani? Two, what did you think of my trade proposal for Shohei Ohtani? And three, what do you think the legitimate odds are of the Red Sox, one, trading for Shohei, and two, signing Shohei in the offseason? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Shohei Ohtani trade proposals in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.